I wanted to bring the whiteboards out, but we'll do that another day. Like, they got a big whiteboard in here. I wanted to get in my bag, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure like the actual visual of it isn't going to be too appealing. So what we need to do is like get one of those cameramen who can have the board very, very focused, and then we put a camera on me. So like, if you really want to be a part of Newports and News, I'm looking for a full-time camera guy. I want to give somebody equity in the business. We talked about this yesterday at the Creative Appreciation Week, right? Still working on this, awareness of the brand at Rec Philly, right? But like, I've always learned, like, a lot of times creatives have a problem with paying people, right? And it's not that they don't want to pay people, but the problem is, like, I literally don't have enough money to pay you while also keeping my time available. Because, like, if I went to work, my time wouldn't be available. I'd have the money, but now I'm not available to do the work. And then if, like, you're not employed or self-employed, you don't have as much consistent money. And then, even when you start going up into the quality of things, regardless if you're employed or not, it still is a considerable amount of money just starting off. So like, I see that constant struggle. And then what ends up happening is people start breaking rules and doing ungood things, right? Scrupulous. That's my word, scrupulous. Start doing scrupulous things in order to like get things done, and then you start burning bridges. So like, your short-term accomplishments are very, very, notable, but then the long-term development starts to get really scarred. And so I thought that equity conversation was super important, because I always knew that was what was required in order for me to grow my business. And I used to always get so much pushback on that idea. But now I'm understanding a lot more, talking to people who've done equity deals and have crossed that bridge. It's like, what can we look at differently in terms of investments and sponsorships, right? Investments are like people want a return on their business, versus sponsorships are people wanting to access the trustworthy network you've developed, right? We learned a lot about that. But the part I want to highlight about equity is you got to do the work to get part of the equity, right? Like, okay, we can pay you some money, right? I can pay you $250 and take all of the rights of my content at that point. And then if we blow up, you just have $250. I don't have to tag you. I don't have to make you a part of anything that I mentioned, right? And I said, as a camera guy, that hurts my feelings, right? Like, I could tape you, you pay me. At that point, you don't have to tag me, right? And I used to be like, well, tag me because of just the goodness of the community or the business. And it's like, well, we're not a community because you charged me, right? Like, you clearly, you can value my money or you can value my project, but you can't value them equally. That's a fact, right? So it's not a problem to value the money over the project or the project over the money, but to think you're gonna do those equally is gonna be difficult. I mean, maybe you can meet the price halfway with the fact that you enjoy the project, but if you enjoy the project, then you could just do it at that. So it's a very, very nuanced, like, back and forth argument. But I know for me, I've chosen nonviolence, right? I chose to go about this the way where it's like, I'll just give you equity in my company and pay you as much as I can, and then when we reach that threshold, we dissolve that equity, and then I'll just pay you what you want to be paid, or you can maintain the equity and we build this thing together and get ourselves paid together. And so I think a lot of creatives start off that way, but then because they don't share a business or equity in something, it doesn't last. And then, I've seen people formulate an entire new venture, but what ends up happening, and I'm going to get to a high level with this one right here, people do equal deals, not equity deals, right? So equity would look more like who's doing what work will reflect, and not even just the work, who's doing what work and taking what risk is what percentage you'd be allocated, right? So if I get the venue and I created the brand, right? Let's say I want 50% equity of the brand that we create, right? Shades of Brilliance, we'll use Shades of Brilliance as an example, right? So I'm fostering the name, the intellectual property, I'm paying for it to actually occur, right? So if you show up one day, I'm promoting for 90 days to get people in the room, right? And you have to show up one day with no promotional obligations, right? All you have to do is do the camera work the day that you show up. And then you're also being provided a $200 stipend for the day to do the recording. There's no equity for you, right? Like, you only promoted, you didn't promote. If you did promote, you might have promoted off the leisure or off the strength you wanted to, but like, there's no reason to give you any equity in it if you didn't front any of the cost and you got paid. So I got to pay the venue, create the idea, pay you, and then you still want equity in the deal, that's not going to work, right? Versus you videotaping the entire process so that we can get more people in the room, and then like these moments here that I don't have to do them alone. Then I can give you equity of the actual project, right? So let's say we create a Shades of Brilliance t-shirt. Let's say we create a Shades of Brilliance ticket. Let's say we create a Shades of Brilliance group chat after the event. I'm telling secrets now, but like, let's say you could just get equity of all of that. And let's say we're making $10,000 a month from these things that I'm mentioning, and you get 10% of that. Now you're getting $1,000 for everything that's related to this project. And then let's say the threshold cuts off at a specific price, right? I would have said that $1,000, but for the sake of this example, let's say it's 10, right? So that means you get $10,000 for being a part of the process. So let's say you had to do 100 videos with me. Let's say you promoted it consistently to get people in the door. Let's even say you went in and invested in a lens to get this done, right? You went from $250 on the front end to, even after all those expenses, you probably still net $5,000 on the back end. And that $250 is going to be our relationship until I throw another event. So let's say I only throw this event annually. You will not even be considered for another paid opportunity until next year. Versus if you get in on the equity of the idea in the business, you can get paid residually, if not passively, all throughout the year. If, let's say some of your work is outstanding and it helps us accomplish a lot of our goals quicker than I could have gotten them done on my own. So these are the things that I've always known, right? But I've always offered these deals to people who, I get in a room and then we start talking and I'd be like, yo, I like your showcase, man. I like what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? You should do it at my venue consistently, and I will give you 50% of the tickets because you don't have to pay for anything. And I will also highlight the content on our media platform. And people would always say no. And I would always wonder why. And I'm like, well, you're already going to pay for everything anyway. So why wouldn't you avoid the cost? And I started learning that, I've heard it in conversations that people were intimidated of me because I knew how to do so much stuff, right? So I don't want to make this about me, but I want to, keep it factual, right? I've actually been told that, well, you do the t-shirts and you public speak, you do social media, you perform as well, you have products, you have a building. I don't want you to have everything, right? I don't want you to have to do everything. It makes me feel like I'm not doing a lot. And that would always confuse me because I was like, well, if I had the opportunity to get paid and not do as much work as someone else, and they're going to take all the risk and still give me a significant chunk of what is to be received from this opportunity, I would be running towards that, right? So I never understood it. But sometimes people's egos are larger than their passions, right? When your ego is larger than your passion, you're not able to even consistently create specifically what you want out of it, right? And normally, people start off by saying, I want to heal the world and give people an outlet and, speak to the truth. And like, that's how music and arts and entertainment start. Then we cross this weird threshold where, it's not weird, we cross this threshold where we start obsessing over the money. And it comes from the word creative entrepreneur, because if you are creative, you could make sailboat figurines in your house, put them on your bookshelf, and leave it there, right? Take some pictures here and there, but essentially, like, you wouldn't need to do anything else except just create. Now, you want to be a creative entrepreneur, that's a little different, right? Being a creative entrepreneur looks like you have to actually find out how you're going to make this a business now. Why people want to buy it, who wants to buy it, when they're going to buy it, production, management, customer service, research and development, right? The list goes on. This is not about you just being creative anymore. And if you don't want to do all of that stuff, you're going to have to give away equity in your business so that people will want to take on these jobs. I actually had somebody ask me the other day, they're like, yo, why are we in this group chat? And I'm like, I think we're building XYZ's business, right? They have a business, they have us building it for them. I think that's why we're here. And then we can get commissions for things that we do if we help. And I don't think that resonated with them well, right? I'm just being factual, right? Versus him offering us what he offered us and some equity in it so that the more it grows, we grow. That's how you get people a part of stuff when you don't have the money. So that was my rant. More like a teaching moment, but some of y'all might see it as a rant. But that's what I'm learning. If you're here all the way at the end, this was a teachable moment. So thank y'all again. And if we have anything else to share, I'll be sure to share it with you all. But I want to, like I said, encourage y'all, check out the Shades of Brilliance. Check out my website. I have so much crazy stuff on my website. I have free guides, have tickets, I have a blog section where you can read dope, introspective, high quality excerpts of my mind. You can also check out the YouTube, hundreds of videos on how to be a creative. Just got over 500 subscribers over there. And then YouTube made the actual requirements for monetization lower. Now it's 500 actual subscribers, and then you can have way less watch hours. I think it was 4,000, now it's 3,000. So it's like, the creators are winning every day. We're winning every day, and I want to encourage y'all to come win with me. So, bless up.